morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Today, let's look at the President's representation of Engineer Magu to the Senate for confirmation. Last Thursday, they declined to indeed grant that very approval. Okay, so the President has represented. I thought we might look at, well, what does it have a better chance this time, and what are the reasons that the Senate rejected the President's submission the first time? Okay, we got Comrade Debo Adeniran. He is Executive Director of CACOR, Coalition Against Corrupt...
No longer that.
Okay, what is it now?
Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership, CACOR still.
But you still keep the CACOR?
Still CACOR,
okay. So you people are not concerned with corrupt leaders anymore?
No,
okay.
we are.
I know.
We just expanded the focus.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, CACOR, I got to learn what it means nowadays. And Mr. Malaki Ugumadu, our friend, is the national president of CDHR, apart from the fact that he's known up and down the land as a human rights activist. Thank you very much for coming on.
A pleasure again to be here.
Let me start with you. The Senate withheld their confirmation, citing the availability of a security report against Mr. Magu. It stated quite a number of things, I think about 4 main points, including that he went to Hajj on public money, including that he's been hitching plane rides with on people he shouldn't be doing that with. He's living in a house that is paid for privately. All of these things were the reasons the Senate said that they were unable at the time to represent. Have these matters been resolved satisfactorily now, do you think?
Putting it in context is to insist that what transpired was an exercise of discretion by the Senate, who, by the way, under the Enabling Act, that is the EFCC Act, has the right to, confirm the appointment made by the President with respect to the chairman of EFCC. What they did was to truncate the process and say, we have a report from the DSS, and pursuant to this report, we are unable to proceed. We are unable to proceed with a confirmation exercise. That was what happened. In effect, they came subsequently, and I think the media also assisted to extract the basis for that decision to refrain from. You see, I had a problem. The initial problem was to put in context the time within which the name was nominated, to appreciate that the Senate has a duty under the Act to confirm or reject, whereas they have that duty, that discretion. What we did not accept was the refusal to exercise that discretion. So if you put in context the time that it took and their refusal to screen for the purposes of confirmation, you would therefore understand where some of us had concern. And we did well to articulate this position.
Okay.
Now,
of course, I know there's a lot, so I'm going to come back to you. Let me hear Debo's voice. He pointed out that they didn't even get to the stage of letting Mr. Magu stand before them and explain to the best of his ability these issues. But he's explained that, well, maybe it's a technical issue in the sense that they didn't even allow themselves to reach that point, seeming that putting it in the context of the matter having been aborted by that DSS. Do you, how well do you sort of key into that perspective?
Thank you very much. What happened was that the process was suspended, not cancelled.
Not that
not terminated.
It was rejected.
Not that it was outrightly rejected.
Okay.
It was only suspended. Based on
Although
what
their own spokesman was saying that they had to reject as a result of security reports.
There are
maybe
so
his
many
language.
things on his language. Because when you look at the reasons that they adduced, that he flew first class, that he lived in a house that was paid for, I mean, that where so much was paid for, that he fraternized with somebody and all that and all that.
And that he was holding EFCC
documents in his house and all that, where he didn't know that anybody was coming to his house to search. And it's, like I said, or maybe on this platform too, that his house was actually an extension of his office.
The explanation has come out that, look, he has a document bag.
Yeah, but then the truth is that after that exercise, he was promoted. If any wrongdoing was found against him, he would have been demoted or be punished in other ways. But when you look at the reason for the Senate, they are saying that they rely on a report from the DSS. DSS is a part of EFCC. They are part of the same board and they sit together. Apart from that, DSS is not supposed to submit their report to the National Assembly. Rather, they are supposed to submit their report to NSA, National Security Advisor, or the president that appointed them.
So what?
But
so,
that
so,
is
so
neither
what do you?
here.
No, no. When
There
you
is
say
a mischief.
when you say it's neither here nor there, I think it's very much here.
There is a mischief somewhere because they ought not to rely on such finding, because they didn't commission the DSS to do that background checking. Now, they had ample time between the time.
To understand you, they didn't commission the DSS to
do background checking for them.
DSS voluntarily.
No, DSS did, I mean, could work for the presidency, because before president appoints anybody, they do background checking by the DSS. But I am saying that the report ought not to have been submitted to the National Assembly. The presidency, from all what we have seen, didn't see that report. And let me tell you, they submitted two conflicting reports. One says that it should be confirmed, one says it should not be confirmed. And that means that the National Assembly had their own reason, which they have not told us, why they decided to work on the report. They submitted it the same day. The report that said it should not be confirmed. But now that every allegation leveled against Magu has been explained not only by the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, but by the Office of the Vice President of Federal Republic of Nigeria. And they found nothing, incriminating about all the allegations leveled against Magu, meaning that the National Assembly could have been on a mission for vendetta, or something similar to that. Because if it were to be somebody who was ready to lobby in the sense that lobbying in Nigeria in the parliament is, he would have just been asked to.
But that is speculation on your part.
It is
a
speculation, but
it's speculation.
It's because he's the qualified person for the job that is facing this difficulty. Okay. If he had been playing the bidding, the National Assembly members went to EFCC when the wife of their president was invited for questioning sometimes ago, but they failed. The EFCC didn't budge. They refused to be intimidated by the presence of several members of the Senate that followed her there. And you also knew what has happened at the level of Code of Conduct Tribunal. The EFCC, the report that is being used in the Code of Conduct Tribunal emanated from an investigation carried out by the same Ibrahim Magu when the Senate president was the governor of Kwara State. So all of these and several other ones, if you look at the Senate, many of them have served in one public office in the past or the other. And so these are some of the reasons why they wouldn't want somebody who is as tenacious, who is as committed, who is as forthright, who has committed his all into the fire to become a chairman for that, because they know it's unbendable.
Again, you'll understand when I say we have to allow that all of this is speculative.
Yes,
well, I understand. I mean, because
but we have ground
because we're adducing motives to their declination
because
to confirm.
the reason they have given
I got to go to a
is
quick
less
break.
than what we have against the
Okay.
Senate president, who is already in court.
Okay.
And the same Senate didn't ask him to step down.
Okay, so we're going to continue this, but I got to go to a quick break. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and we're looking at the president's representation of Engineer Magu for chairman of EFCC after the Senate on Thursday, for various reasons, declined to approve him, although it has been pointed out that actually they sort of truncated the process and didn't actually get into the whole mean of the thing at all. After all, he wasn't even allowed to come before them to explain aspects of this. Let me ask you, Malaki, how critical is it that Magu heads up the EFCC? Maybe the point of view of the Senate is that, look, we got so many people that are qualified, and in this particular one, the Senate of the Federal Republic sees differently from the president. Find someone else from the, admittedly, not hordes, but maybe a handful of people that are qualified for the job. Might that be their perspective?
Perhaps they would have also mentioned such names, so that...
No, now I've been accusing him of speculation. This is speculation on my part, too.
Since we're in the business of speculating, we stretch it by saying that perhaps if those were the grounds for which the Senate reacted the way they did, perhaps they would have been bold enough to mention that, so that we'll factor into this whole discourse.
Well, they couldn't do that. They just asked the president to represent if he wished.
So, but I like to make a point, and that is because they actually, the DSS exercise was actually at their instance. They wrote.
The Senate?
The Senate wrote to DSS just about a week or a fortnight before this whole,
That's when the intrigue began.
Urging them to do a background check on them, on Mr. Magu. So it wasn't...
But Malaki, don't you think the president himself or the presidency would have done a background check on any individual being forwarded to the Senate?
There are quite a number of... The ramification of this whole confusion cannot exculpate the presidency from the embarrassment that he has suffered. I mean, the presidency has suffered, no less the president himself, as well as the country. But we need to be a little circumspect in also killing the morale, the patriotic drive of men and women of this country who set out putting in all they have at their own risk to salvage this country. And the EFCC is a wonderful institution to examine in that regard. If you watch the circumstances in which Nuhu Ribadu, for instance, was even appointed, and just oppose it with the near-death experience he had as it exited him, you deal with the Lamude situation. A man who was actually, together with this Magu, as foundation members, Nuhu was the angry Nigerian who felt that there is no way this country can survive in the way and manner we are proceeding. And then he was there to reach out to any length as far as the battle was concerned. The real technical engine room that drove the process for as much as we witnessed in terms of the reinvention of the Nigerian will to confront corruption, were those of this same Magu, the people like Lamude, and those first generation members of EFCC. Now, if you left the Lamude and now see what is happening to this man, you begin to wonder, are we really disposed to make deliberate efforts to exit the same route that has plunged this country into a mess. I give you one example. If you open section 15, subsection 5 of the Constitution, it's quite emphatic. It says, the Nigerian state shall abolish all forms of corruption and abuse of power. And therefore, the Senate that has sworn to uphold the same Constitution and bear allegiance to Nigeria cannot be found in tendencies that clearly undermine the same fight against corruption. The reason I put this the way I do is that, well, let's assume that the presidency bungled the whole thing, which is true. I do not see the propriety, the tidiness of an arm of executive undermining by official reports the nomination of Mr. President. I do not see how you can explain it. It is inexplicable as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, to most people.
But
one begins to wonder,
please, if I can just conclude
at what instance or whose instance
yes.
was that undermining?
Now, from wherever it's coming from, once that is coming from the same body, it's almost like 4 of your children, 2 are already running amok and at cross purposes with the other when you have a position on how the family should move. But to draw this point home is to say, well, we are used to absurdities. Nigeria has become a theater of absurdity.
Okay, one moment, Malaki, I hear you. Now, give me your impressions of this theory. Let's go let's call it that.
Well, first and foremost, since the beginning of the present civilian dispensation, everybody was yearning for
you're looking at how critical Magu might be.
It's supposed to be. Okay, we were looking for, Nuhu Ribadu came with that, youthful skill, zeal that he had the opportunity of setting up the EFCC to his taste. And because of the anger, which Malaki alluded to the other time, he was angry with the way corruption was festering without, adequate effort to curb it, despite the existence of ICPC. ICPC was unable to do much when it comes to international whatever and sabotage of economic resources of the nation. So he came in with that, set it up in his own way, and was going on according to the wishes of Nigerians. But the man who appointed him didn't want him to go that fast. I'm sorry to say. Again, it is, if you call it speculation,
because even Ribadu himself said at the time that Obasanjo never once directed him on how to go.
He wouldn't have said something different. But what we discovered is that the then president actually intervened in some cases. But that is not it. That when Yar'Adua came, found somebody like Nuhu Ribadu unbearable. So there must be a way of excusing him. And that was why they have to give him a soft landing in Kuru. Okay? And the rest
but the current acting chairman, how critical do you think he is?
He's very critical because of what he has demonstrated as commitment, rare commitment, extra dosage of courage that he has demonstrated. He has not been confirmed, yet he picked on those he was anticipating will have a hand in his confirmation. And he didn't allow them.
He didn't falter.
He didn't falter. He didn't allow them to sway him with all sorts of intimidative, tendencies that they exhibited. So he didn't.
There probably is some notion in the air that now it's payback time.
No, the truth is that if it were to be somebody that was malleable or that is still malleable, it would have, because of the anticipatory favor that is looking for from the National Assembly, succumb to the pressure that they mounted on him.
But that makes nonsense of the whole effort
and that is the reason
corruption.
Why the monster,
even though we have to emphasize that
able to,
that speculation, if it were to be so, would be totally against everything.
And let me tell you about the reports,
Sure.
the DSS reports. It was actually when we discovered that there are two conflicting reports that were submitted that we discovered what Malaki was saying that, oh, they could have asked for one, the other one. The presidency, like I told you, is part of their procedure to have background check of everybody they want.
Yes, the presidency.
They have the one that says confirm him.
Yes.
Now, the National Assembly didn't want that one to hold sway. So they had their own report submitted the same day.
By the same
body. But like I said earlier, if there was any problem that they have discovered when they are doing this, the first person to inform is the person who nominated the candidate in the first place.
But that didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
Now, gentlemen, I hear you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But the other thing, maybe it's, there are those who might think it's a bit on the simplistic side. How about the part of truth in all of this? We're talking about a war against corruption. And for corruption to be flourishing, there will be lies, there will be a lack of truth, a lack of openness.
Yeah.
So where is the part of truth in all of this? I understand I have to go to another break. We'll come back and look at the part of truth in all of this. Stay with us, please. Welcome back. We're looking at the representation by the President to the Senate for confirmation, the acting chairman of EFCC. Since the election of President Trump in America, another language, if you want, has entered the political lexicon, alternative facts. What alternative, we know what alternative facts are. That's a lie, upside, right there, that's a lie. So what's the part of truth, real truth, as opposed to alternative facts in all this that is going on?
Taking it from that Trump thing, it was one of his aides, the lady, who said these were alternative facts.
Yes.
The response from the interviewer is that alternative facts are not the facts.
Exactly.
And that's my position.
They're falsehoods.
Let's put it this way. The Senate has had the opportunity of exercising its discretion, even in a tardy way. The President or Presidency has also, pursuant to their powers, constituted a body superintended by the Attorney General of the Federation to look into the allegations that had been generated and caused enough embarrassment and even a slowdown on the fight against corruption. That report has gone back to the Presidency, and it became clearer, particularly with respect to Magu, that the allegations are baseless from the issue of accommodation, which he has no impute whatever, to the idea of carrying bags home,
to the first-class ticket to Saudi Arabia.
And cleared it. So if you ask me about truth, I would say perhaps we are looking at the truth as they ought to have been known if we're dealing with an arm of government that is also interested, pursuant to Section 15, Subsection 5 of the Constitution, in abolishing corruption in Nigeria. Now, your preceding question was, how very crucial is this Magu? And I hate that we are discussing that. However, we cannot discountenance the times and the socio-economic conditions that define what we do in this country. Granted that what is uppermost, even much more important than the personality, is the institution. I think there's a consensus on that. Build the institution, even if you have any person with any tendency, the institution will work. But if you build an institution And in Nigerian condition, puts one who by orientation, by practice, by human configuration, is against the fight on corruption. That institution will not survive.
That's right.
That is the truth. That is the position of the Nigerian state.
So it comes down to...
we are looking at somebody. Look, he has a history. Look, I have had the opportunity as a Nigerian who is sufficiently involved to ask him the question, how much time does he have?
That is Magu.
Magu, before he will be booted out of office. I've also told former EFCC chairmen to put in their resignations. Not one-on-one. People were there. The Magu's answer was that even if it was immediately after that meeting, but that the work will be done as if that meeting will not be ended. And we have these records. We know precisely how many governors were investigated. Indeed.
So there's all of that. And when we have to be careful about
including the
who
Senate
we put in charge
president
of EFCC. If you're not going to negate the whole purpose of EFCC. I hear we have a call. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Barrister Malaki.
Good morning, sir.
And good morning, Comrade Debo.
Good morning.
Okay.
Let me just go straight to the point with the quotation. A road to hell is paved with good intention. I wanted to react to the comment made by Comrade Debo about Obasanjo setting up EFCC. Obasanjo set up EFCC in good faith. Let us forget about the politics. I'm one of the people that were against Obasanjo in many ways. But I cannot take away the positive aspect of him in some other things he put in place while in power. Obasanjo brought insanity in the conduct of governance in Nigeria. Before Obasanjo came in, everything was shoddy. No procurement process. Nobody checking anybody. He brought new Ribado, and new Ribado performed wonderfully in his own way and in the way of we Nigerians. Secondly, what is happening to Magu today is an issue of personality clash within the presidency. And it's an issue of corruption fighting back in a systemic way. What really happened is this. The corrupt people in Nigeria have their people within the system. And they are fighting themselves within the system to protect their own selfish, biopic, and self-centered interests against the common interest of Nigeria. Barrister Malaki made one comment. That look, what are these people talking about Magu? Magu is a person with a very good profile and credentials. And he performed wonderfully. And by virtue of the way Magu was going, he is going to open the lead against people in National Assembly and their friends and cohorts in the different strata of our society. We are faced with serious problems. And Mr. President made a very good move. He exercised his constitutional right by representing the name of Magu because he was not found wanting. And what is happening? You see, what the DSS did by producing two conflicting reports about Magu, they are not killing Magu, they are killing themselves. Because very soon, people will begin to take them as unserious people and unreliable.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan, for calling in.
Very credible.
Exactly. And really, it even shed further light on perhaps my difficult question about what is the part of truth in all of this. We're going through alternative truth, we're going through shenanigans, we're going through all sorts of rigmarole. It would appear that for some reason that I can't understand, it goes beyond what they stated, that they have an unfavorable report from the DSS. It would appear that this present Senate does not want Magu in charge. Now the reasons that is now open.
Not only the present Senate, there are some people even within the President Buhari's cabinet,
Yes.
that wouldn't want a Magu, excuse me, to succeed in its fight against corruption. If you remember, there are a couple of them. I mean, one of them was a former governor who upgraded his private website for 78.3 million naira. He was asked in the Senate. And this is where the contradiction in the parameters, I mean, the Senate used in clearing people situates. The Senate asked him, Mr. Former Governor.
Governor Fashola?
It was Governor Fashola.
Because it was public, it was a public hearing.
It was a public thing. Did you do this? He said, I didn't sign checks. And some section of the Senate applauded him for saying that. Must you sign checks before you misappropriate funds? Now, there are a set of people of that category in the cabinet of President Muhammadu Buhari. A Magu will not take, I don't sign checks for an answer when it comes to misappropriation of public funds. Such a person will not want a Magu to succeed in his fight against corruption, because if he succeeds, Magu is a no-nonsense officer who does not care whose ox is God. He doesn't have a permanent friend, according to him. He said it himself. He said he has actually had reasons to prosecute his own family members. Okay? Now, if he could do that, and President Buhari is another person. He was voted in because of his antecedents. It was because people were experimenting during the first 2 or 3 periods when he tried to contest presidency in Nigeria, thinking that there are other people who could do as much as is expected of an anti-corruption president would do. But they failed, and that is why they came back to pick the stone that had been once abandoned as the cornerstone of the new building.
Okay, I got to take another caller. Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Yori.
Okay, please go ahead, Mr. Marvelous.
Please, I want to quickly talk about Magu. To me, I feel that in this country, and it is very disappointing that some Nigerians are going against Magu. In this country, we have seen people with good personality being rubbished by the Senate. Tam David West was an example. Okonjo-Iweala was an example. I feel, to me, Magu is the best, and Buhari has showed that he is the best and most capable man for this job. I do not see the reason, or I do not see what the Senate has against him. It's not like giving a new Ribadu. It's not flashy. It's not a flashy man. They said they rented an apartment of 40 billion. It was the federal government, Ministry of FCT, that rented the house for him. His performance, I cannot see the reason why we go against a man that has successfully collected $146 million from this the Zani Gates and this thing. I feel the man is competent for the job. I feel, to me, it just happens to be a victim of between the Buhari and the Senate trying to tackle themselves, trying not to. I feel, to me, Magu should support the man. The man is the best and most capable man for the job. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Marvelous. This is what the mainstream, I think,
that is the truth you are asking for.
If you see this challenge, I'm talking of the corruption challenge to Nigeria, not just from the standpoint of the victims. We are the victims of this corruption. We who now have cause to send our children to private schools, private universities. We generate our own electricity. We supply our own water. We deal with our own hospitals. If we see ourselves as the victims and as Nigerians with stake in this whole experience, then we must interpret this problem as an existential problem, one that has the capacity to eliminate us as humans if we did nothing about it. The call, therefore, is that there should be a participatory process by the Nigerian people to ensure that the truth you talk about is not just discovered. We must take practical, concrete steps to consolidate on those truths. And the way to go about it is to ask even the National Assembly people, how come you people have, even before your shenanigans, how come you have even whittled down the budgetary allocation to these agencies?
Okay.
What is your problem with fighting corruption?
Exactly. There's another caller on the line. Good morning, and thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Good morning, madam.
You are welcome. God bless.
Yeah, please go ahead.
about Magu's problem. I can tell you that the Senate and the senators, whatever they said, they have skeleton in their cupboard. And that is why they don't want Magu to be there, so that they know there is a lot of things that come out of this man because of them. And let me just tell you, corruption will fight back. Boko Haram fought back when they were attacking that man that is in charge of that war.
Excuse me.
And now we are seeing another corruption that is fighting back. Magu must return back to that seat to expose those that are eating up our money in this country, that have brought us into this situation we are now. They sold our dollars, they ate our dollars, and they are now telling us that there is no money in this country. Oh, where is the money? Where is the dollar? Who owes them in captivity? They are the people that are there, but God will see us through in this nation. God bless you.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mrs. Nike. And I got to go to a break straight, well, final break for the day. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The home stretch now, and Mr. George is waiting on the line. Thank you for holding on, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Uncle Yori, you asked a question. What is the truth of this matter? The truth of the matter is that this corruption war is, at present, is being fought by only two people, Mr. President and Mr. Magu. I don't know of any minister that is fighting corruption. I don't know of any governor that is fighting corruption. And if Magu is prevented as the chief aide of the president, that will be the end of the corruption war. That is what the Senate and the corrupt people in Nigeria want. That is why they are doing what they are doing. That so-called report by DSS was trumped up.
Yes.
Right from the beginning. Any rational thinking person knows that that report was trumped up. Malaki said something. He said the issue had the name of Magu had been forwarded to the Senate about 6 months. I remember about 6 months before that report was extracted from DSS. There's a clique within the presidency and the Senate, and some corrupt people around the country who don't want this guy to be confirmed. I'm happy that the president is approaching it this way. He should continue to present Magu. If it is 50 times, it must be presented, and Magu must be confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in. Because, gentlemen, and let me bring it to you, Debo. Nike, who called in just before we went on the last break, she had said it's corruption fighting back. This is a Nuhu Ribadu quote, and it's still very, very current. Now, the Senate, I imagine, would have to be very wary of being seen in that light. This cannot, they don't want to be cast in that light at all.
I don't think so. The Senate is not helping itself with its credit rating. The deficit in morality has always been on their neck. If they don't want to be, it is only in Nigeria that people that are accused of criminal offenses are not in a hurry to clear their names.
Yes.
It means that they have made it a kind of trademark to themselves that if you are in a public office and you are not involved in corruption, then you are a failure. But that is what Nigerians should not accept. Like we said, we need somebody with that level of courage. Somebody, my colleague has just reminded me, Magu has demonstrated extra capacity to deal with anybody, even if he's going to be President Buhari. He dealt with his father-in-law. He put him under watch for 6 months. He kept him in detention. And if his father-in-law was in detention for 6 months, because he's being investigated for an offense committed, a crime committed in his bank, then you know that there's nobody in Nigeria, no matter what relationship he has with them, that Magu
even
will not
EFCC lawyers
become nepotistic.
EFCC lawyers and advocates are on trial.
Okay, let me take this call. Thank you very much for holding on all that while. Please go ahead now.
Good morning, Mr. Eri.
Good morning, Mr. Ishak.
Yes, I'm Ishak. I'm calling from
Ishak, sorry.
I think the antecedents from what we had, the antecedents of Magu has shown that he's a man of courage. I want to appeal to the Senate to quickly confirm him, except if they are afraid of him because they have skeleton in their cupboard. So I want to suggest if Senate is still insisting on DSS reports for not confirming him, the matter should be brought to life and the matter should be transmitted live while they are screening Magu. I'm not surprised from the kind of political leaders we have. Virtually, you see, we have ex-governors in the Senate. They are virtually, the Senate now is virtually turning to where ex-governors are now passing time. We have ex-governors who are virtually afraid of Magu because they know he's going to come after them. If they are truly sincere, they are not selfless. If their interest is for this country, I think they should quickly confirm this man and let's see what he will do. I think that's my take.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ishak.
I want to appeal to the Senate to quickly confirm him.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We see the extent to which the Senate accedes to your desire to go ahead, screen Magu, make it live. Let's all see it.
Just like we watch the ministers.
Just so you clear yourself, because let me reiterate the idea that the Senate doesn't want itself to be cast in the mode of skeletons.
What have they done?
You have skeletons is why you're opposing
What have they
Magu.
done that pointed to that fact?
I think you are being very charitable, not speculative. Very charitable to the Senate.
There are many governors.
I do not think the Senate bothers itself a huge
about its reputation in that regard.
About that, and you know, for as long as you get confronted with the raw facts as they are regarding the unconscionable disposition of our people, particularly state actors, in relation to conclusion.
Other conclusions are difficult.
I had wanted to just thank the last caller. Just as you've monitored the callers, they've all accepted. What we should do is not to rely on the Senate. It is to take it up as a Nigerian fight. Okay. Because like I said, it is existential.
I got to include the contribution of the next caller who's been holding on for a while, and thank you very much, Julius. Well, you agree with that?
Yes, definitely.
You know,
Hello, sir.
Hello, Mr. Julius. Okay, we were waiting for you. We thought you had dropped. Go ahead, please.
Hello.
Go ahead, Mr. Julius.
Yes. Yes, I am very happy. I am very happy with the topic you are discussing. Yes, I'm very happy with the topic you are discussing. My challenge is we have prayed for this country fervently. Our prayers appear to have been answered, but some people are truncating the prayers from being properly and wholly answered. My prayer is those people who are against fighting corruption, God will uproot them. Amen. I thank you very much for the good work people have been doing. We have been praying for you, and I pray that God will continue to uphold you.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you very much. I thought you said prayer, but it's okay.
It is a prayer.
It
is a prayer.
Okay.
Because anybody that doesn't want us to succeed in the fight against corruption should be uprooted. And we have won the president for that. Because he's enjoying the cooperation of the people. The people's will are in his favor. He should not misuse that opportunity.
But the president is doing okay.
And what we are saying, yes, it's still okay.
Yes, he sent the right person.
So I'm just saying that
the pushback is from the Senate.
It's from the Senate.
And my concern now is that our Senate, the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is now, as
and that is why every senatorial
now being included
district
in the bracket of you fight corruption, corruption will fight back.
Every senatorial district should go back home and call their senators to order and give them direct instruction. You must vote in favor of this gentleman.
Yes, Malaki, you wanted to respond.
I think the way to respond is to say that, look, as a people, we have a stake in this matter. As a people, we should also realize that we haven't got the luxury of time. if you put into account the fact that Emeagwụ was appointed as an acting chairman well over a year ago. I think it should be around a year, 2 months now. And the debate is still as to whether to confirm or not.
December.
Now, take a look at what is happening, even with the Trump, which I'm not very excited about. The screening of secretaries and ministerial nominees over there started even before the swearing in of Mr. Trump. And as I speak to you, I think this is just about the last lap of appointments, including the judge that he mentioned yesterday, Supreme Court judge. I am talking of a country that should get serious because we don't have enough time given where we are. The convolution in the country is so enormous that if we skip a little further, you could have a conflagration that you cannot contend with. Now, the presidency or this government was not really elected in the rating of the Nigerian people very high on issues of economy or technology. The road to power, Mr. Buhari rode to power on the crest of a known determination to tackle corruption. He had made a nomination with respect to the man he believes can do it. If we now find that other components of our society, other elements and characters that are disposed, that are not disposed to that, are now, muzzling their powers, it will be the responsibility of the Nigerian people whose lives are at stake.
Yes, to protest the fact, to
understand first, discover the truth, and consolidate on the truth.
Let me take our last call. Good morning. Did we lose? No. Well, I think I misunderstood the instruction. Okay, now, Debo,
Yes.
we're going now.
Okay.
And the point that Malaki made, that, look, a major plank of President Buhari's presidency is his known, avowed war against corruption. If anybody's trying to mess with that war now, since we all voted him on that, among other things, we have to speak up, right? We don't have the time anymore.
We have to speak up.
The Senate doesn't have any choice but to approve.
We don't, they don't have to take any other choice because they don't have reasons to reject Mr. Magu. And I'm saying that, every senator that is trying to prolong this confirmation of Magu is just trying to buy time. He just want to make it difficult for the Magu regime in the EFCC to investigate their cases.
Okay, so let's see.
So they should be in a hurry to clear their names.
Yes.
Otherwise, we will send their constituents
Yes.
against them. That they should be ostracized.
So we will now wait to see how the Senate will go when they review the issue through this representation.
Exactly. They should prove that they have nothing to fear.
Thank you very much, Comrade Debo Adeniran, Executive Director of CACOL. Let me leave it at that for now. And thank you very much, Barrister Malaki Ugumadu, National President of Committee for the Defense of Human Rights.
Always my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll be back with a fresh edition of the program tomorrow, God willing. I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.